I, 25, female, am the only child of my family, but I was never treated that way. My mother is the oldest of three sisters. When I was about 10, her youngest sister, my aunt, was struggling with money a lot. As my parents were much more well off, she begged my parents to take in my cousin and take care of her for a while. My cousin, Maria, is only a year younger than me, and she is not a nice person. Since she moved in with us, she meticulously did everything to ruin my image in my family's eyes. She would steal things from my parents and put them in my stuff. I know she did it because she was always the one who found the things that I had stolen. She would ruin my assignments, try to break my laptop, and other things like that just to sabotage me. Every time I tried to explain how she was simply framing me, my parents refused to believe me because, in their eyes, Maria could never do anything wrong like this. Maria was a good girl, top of her class, and she would never lie to us like that, is what they said to me. When I joined high school, I found out that Maria had been enrolled in the same high school because my parents thought it would be great to have the two cousins near one another, so that we could look out for one another. But that was not the case. Maria was a big bully in school. She did not hesitate to manipulate and lie her way out of situations, even if it meant hurting someone or ruining their career. For example, just because one girl in our chemistry class refused to help Maria out with the lab work, Maria put weed in her bag on the day we were supposed to have training of sorts where police came in with their canine squad. The girl was caught, and even when she vehemently denied it, as people had seen her hanging out with the guys who usually did these types of things, she was suspected, which got her kicked out of one of the scholarships she was applying for. Maria did not feel any remorse for her behavior because, in her eyes, she only did what was valid. At one point in my high school, Maria was like Regina George. Everyone feared her, and nobody had it in them to say anything against her. All the while, Maria kept tormenting me in my own house. Whenever I got something, whatever it was, could just be $1, she would take it from me. When I was 16, I started doing a summer job so that I could earn my own money that I could use to get the things that I needed for myself. I was saving the cash so that I could buy myself an iPad. I saved up quite a chunk of the money and was going to ask my parents to pay the rest, which was less than $100, when Maria found my stash. She found the money and promptly pocketed it. She spent it to buy herself some jewelry, and when I told my parents that she had stolen money from me, they refused to believe my words yet again. They believed Maria's words about an online internship, even though they knew I had been trying to save money to buy myself an iPad, and I had no reason to lie. After being in this type of environment, which was becoming increasingly hostile and taking a huge toll on my mental health, I decided to run away as soon as I turned 18. Even though both of my parents wanted me to go to the community college near our house in the same state, I decided to go to a different state, and somehow I was selected. When I told my parents about this, they told me that I should be thinking about how much this would affect our finances, as they have to pay for Maria's tuition as well. That bothered me to no end because my aunt was no longer in a financial terrible situation, but she made no move whatsoever to take charge of her daughter. Hearing my parents prioritize her education over mine also made me angry, I won't lie. But being the stubborn girl that I am, I left the house, I moved away when I was 18, and despite all the struggles that I had faced out in the world, I never reached out to my parents for any help. When I would occasionally go on their social media, I would see them celebrating Maria and her accomplishments more than they had ever celebrated mine. It was almost like she was the bio daughter and I was the cousin. But those feelings only made me spiteful enough to start focusing on my career. Without Maria in my life, I flourished, and by the time I was 22, I had already secured a job at this MNC as an accountant. At this job, I met my fiance, Henry. Henry is 3 years older than me and comes from a loving family. His family is just as loving as mine is chaotic. It is funny how opposites attract, to be honest. We knew we were the ones for one another from the moment we started dating, and we were dating during COVID. We started living together to save money, and that brought us significantly closer, which only served as proof of our compatibility. When he proposed to me right before our second year together, I happily agreed. But the trouble came to paradise right after the proposal. His family wanted me to invite my family as well, the same family I had gone essentially no contact with. No matter how hard I tried to brush it all aside, eventually I was pressured into making a call to my parents, informing them about the venue and the date for our wedding that we had thought of for then. My parents were excited and told me that they would do their best to come and see me as soon as possible. When I asked them when they would be coming, they said they would let me know. They did not. They informed me after they came over to my state and were settled into a hotel. They wanted me to come over to a popular restaurant to meet them. I had assumed it was because they wanted to meet my fiance, but no. But they only wanted to see me. It was strange, but I complied. I showed up at the restaurant on time and saw my parents after a good while. They were happy to see me too, but they were pretty cut and dry and jumped straight into the reason why they had come. They had a grand, big, and amazing plan for my wedding. Like any girl, I was very excited to hear what my parents had to say about her wedding, but what they said shocked me. They told me how Maria had been eyeing the same venue for a while as her boyfriend had been wanting to propose to her for a while, so it would be great if my wedding and her engagement both happened together at the same time. They wanted the focus to be on Maria's engagement, of course, because it is a huge step for her, and my wedding would just be a perfect add-on. Hearing them refer to my wedding as an add-on made my blood boil. I tried to calm myself, but honestly, I could not. I smiled through my teeth and gave them a little surprise from my end, which was them getting uninvited from the wedding. All of them. And yeah, they did not take it well. My parents left the restaurant cursing at me. Can't say that was something new to me, though. But this tiny bit of guilt is trying to eat away at me. So what do you guys think? Should I feel guilty or not? Update. Thank you everyone who was so sweet to me in the DMs and the comments. I am sorry I can't reply to all of them, but I appreciate them all. Maria learned about me not wanting to allow her to use the venue and decided that she would do what she does best. She tried to sabotage me. She called the venue and asked them to make a booking on the same date under her name. Obviously, that did not happen because I had already paid for the venue in full, and for that whole day, the venue was ours. I had not mentioned it in the conversation with my parents because during that time we were not sure, so Maria assumed we had not paid for the venue and she could simply steal it. How do I know about this, you might be asking? And the answer to that is her social media posts, talking about a snake and how the snake stole her dream wedding. I feel very overwhelmed and incredibly alone in this, I won't lie. Any advice on how I should cope in my emotions? Update 2. Hey everyone. I told my fiance about everything. My fiance knew my family was crazy, but he did not know the severity of it. He was understanding and he told me he would talk to his parents about it if they were worried about me not inviting my family anymore, as they were the ones who were worried in the first place. He also told me that he would not let anything ruin our special day, let alone an entitled cousin. So he said he would take proper measures against her if she dares to do anything stupid. Telling him was a really good idea. I feel a lot better now. I feel like I have truly found one person to support me. Update 3. Hey everyone, sorry it took a while to update you guys. I was busy getting married to the love of my life. We are currently returning from our honeymoon and I remembered I still needed to update you guys. So what happened is, my fiance's prediction came true. He knew that something might happen thanks to how entitled she is, and something did. Maria and my parents tried to crash my wedding. Maria and my mom were slightly boozed up and were very upset at me for stealing the venue from her even though I had paid for it. Luckily, my husband had already told the security about it, and when they showed up, everyone was ready. They threw them out without much commotion, and the ceremony went pretty smoothly. While a part of me aches that I will not have my family in my wedding pictures. I think I would just focus on the new family that I have made now instead. Hey, OP, do not feel guilty. Your family sounds terrible and they do not deserve you. Not every parent deserves a child, and your family is proof of that. Also, NTA. Opinion 2. Hey, OP, I can understand how overwhelming it can be when someone pressures you into inviting people from your family you would not be in touch with. Please make sure no one can trample your boundaries like that. You deserve so much better, OP. Also, NTA, Maria deserves hell for what she put you through. And she sounds like a terrible, terrible human being. How can she be like that? Please remember to not feel guilty about protecting the best day of your life. That is only natural. Next story. My wife is a very traditional person. She's big on things being done the proper way, and to be honest, can be kind of rigid. My mom doesn't care about proper, but is just a spoiled brat who wants what she wants. Needless to say, they get on like oil and water. Growing up, we always had a ham with Thanksgiving dinner because that is what my mom wanted. She would cook a turkey, but she only ate the ham. My mom no longer hosts Thanksgiving now that I'm older and have my own family. She was never that into it to begin with, so would rather just go to a friend's house. She won't come to our house because she and my mother-in-law can't be in the same room and we don't have ham. Well, this year the stars aligned. Mother-in-law will be out of state. My mom's friend isn't hosting due to a family medical emergency, so I asked my wife if I could invite my mom. She said sure, but no ham. I called my mom and she said she was only coming if she could have a ham. She even offered to cook it and bring it herself. I said I had to check with my wife and she freaked out and said my mom can't cook anything. I asked my wife to cook the ham and she yelled at me. At this point, I was sick of the bullshit. I told my mom to come and promised there would be a ham. I went out and bought it myself and told my wife I would be cooking it. My wife is not okay with me cooking during holidays because it is her job, so she got emotional. I told her I was doing it and it wasn't up for discussion. She called me a mama's boy and called my mom stupid because ham is only for Christmas and Easter. She even brought my daughter into the fight and they were joking about things they could do to the ham. Now I'm standing guard. My mom will be here in a few hours, and my wife is obviously pissed. NTA. Your wife is unwelcoming, unkind, and unpleasant, in addition to being rigid, controlling, and close-minded about what is proper or not. I sincerely hope your wife will change her ways, and I hope she doesn't treat you and your kids the way she treats your mother. And I forgot to mention, uncompromising. Several reasonable compromises were offered which your wife shot down. NTA. Your wife needs to let it go. I'm all for tradition, but it shouldn't be used to exclude others. What is she going to do if your daughter, or their future partner, kids, wants something different? Flexibility with food when given notice is key if you're the host. NTA, but your wife is. If she really wants tradition, Thanksgiving is supposed to be about family and sharing abundance and appreciating what you have. Also, your daughter shouldn't be smack-talking her grandmother. While turkey is tradition, it's not the only big family food that gets served on Thanksgiving. I've been seeing that honey-baked ham commercial multiple times a day for the past 3 weeks. While your mom might be obnoxious about needing ham, she's not the AH here. She was invited. She offered to make her own ham. When your wife clutched her pearls at that, you got the ham. There's a lot of mama boys on this site, but this doesn't seem to be the case. You're simply being considerate of your mom on a major holiday. Having ham available doesn't mean your wife's turkey won't be enjoyed. If it's I want my table to look like Martha frickin' Stewart lives here, for her, okay, the ham can be served from the kitchen. The bird can stay on the table. Your wife needs to lighten up and remember what Thanksgiving is about. In 10 years, the family might not remember what sides were served, but they'll certainly remember the year that Mom threw a shit fit about Grandma's food preference. Next story. I, late 30s male, hosted Thanksgiving at my house. My husband, 50s male, and I have a nephew, 16, who stays with us part-time. He has a bedroom on the second floor, and my bedroom is on the third floor. It's a suite with a sitting room, living room, two walk-in closets in the bedroom. When you walk up the stairs, you walk into the sitting room. Then there's a small living room, then the bedroom, and then you go into either one of the closets from the bedroom. I have a nephew who's 5 and is exhibiting signs of autism. His mother, 27, female, is my second cousin. She came along with her 2 brothers and their mother. So everyone's taking turns entertaining my 5-year-old nephew because he requires a little bit of extra attention. At one point, I leave the living room on the first floor and I see him on the stairs, playing with a toy car and what looks like a watch. I look closer and I see the watch belongs to my husband, and it's a pretty expensive watch to be smashing into a toy car. I asked my nephew where he got it, and he said his uncle's, 29, male, backpack. I asked him if he could show me. He leads me to the piano room where everyone puts their jackets and whatnot, and my one cousin's backpack. My nephew opens the front portion of the backpack, and I see some other jewelry in there. I was really pissed off, so I grabbed his backpack and grabbed my nephew and went into the living room. I dumped the backpack out onto one of the coffee tables and asked my cousin what the heck was going on with the fact that 2 of my husband's watches and a necklace that belonged to my mother were in his bag. I dumped out the bag, and the nephew who lives with me, his switch, was in there. The cousin whose backpack it was freaked out, saying clearly my autistic nephew put stuff in there that he had taken from upstairs. Am I the a-hole for confronting him in front of everyone? Edit 1. Cut some things out for the character limit. So when I dumped the bag out, the cousin who stole the stuff was white as a sheet. His sister asked me later on how on earth I would do that in front of everyone. The man who stole from me, his mother said that what he did was wrong, but I don't need to point it out to everyone because everyone's going to be looking at him when he comes over to their house. That's why I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole. Edit 2. Added ages, fix some typos. For those asking, I don't think he's an addict, but in all fairness, I didn't think he was a thief either. I don't think he's a career criminal because he didn't take the expensive watches, just the mid-grade ones. The necklace was just gold-plated, so probably only worth $100 or $200. The point is, there were much more expensive things he could have taken out of the drawers he was in. I'm second cousins with the thief's mother. I'm just Uncle OP to the little guy because it is a lot easier than second cousin, twice removed OP. OP, I am sorry that Thanksgiving is ruined, yet you saved it, so NTA. If your cousin can steal from you, then that cousin could have done the same to someone else. Your calling cousin out means you spared more people from becoming victims to your cousin the thief. So ask yourself this: how many more people he could have stolen from besides you? Do not be surprised if you are not the first or only person he targeted. You are not mean, but doing the right thing calling out a thief. Your cousin has done that to himself. I cannot believe your cousin tries to push the blame on the child who told you the truth. Moving forward, I hope you are making a police report against that cousin and barring him from ever setting foot for any future visits. NTA, your cousin stole from you. Everyone should be made aware of what he did because then they can make an informed decision about how comfortable they feel inviting him into their homes. Your aunt may be willing to forgive and forget because he is her son, but that doesn't mean you or anyone else in the family should. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.